Okay. I'm just hitting record because the longer I think about this, the harder it is to actually do. So, still don't know exactly what it's going to contain, what we're talking about here today, but I wanted to do a video sort of introducing myself and talking about my past, my experiences. And I want to do this for a couple reasons. One of the reasons, obviously, it's hard to get a good picture of like who a streamer is or who a person is, through very limited interactions with them via a couple hours of stream or whatever. Um and another reason is people have asked me, people have asked me like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. I didn't know you'd been through this or that." And so I kind of wanted to do some videos helping streamers and sharing sort of my experiences and what I'd learned from streaming. Maybe do some other videos of stuff like that. But before I do those, I think it's really important. Like I think it's really important that you know who you're getting your information from and who's talking to you, because there's so many people out there in this world that give advice and information and uh, just their opinions on things that are totally irrelevant, invalid, based on nothing. Uh, yeah. So obviously, my opinion is going to be no more valid than anybody else's, in my opinion. Um, but maybe it'll help somebody. So my name's Dana. I've been streaming for about 3.5 years as of right now. Um, God, I had a fucked up childhood, man. My first memory was my dad bashing my mom's head into a toilet. That was the first memory I had. I was like 2 years old, and I woke up to that because my dad was all high on coke, and I guess my mom came up to use his bathroom or something, and yeah. So I remember seeing all the blood all over and screaming, and that was the last thing I remember from that house. So then we moved to my grandma's. We got out of there. I think, according to my mom, we left the next day. And, like, I'm honestly not sure how much detail to go into all this shit. Like, I don't know how much it matters, how much people actually care, but fuck it. It's my YouTube channel. I guess you can watch it or not. That's how the world works. So, yeah. Then she hooked up with my stepdad, who was an abusive piece of shit. Prior to that, I got sexually abused by a couple old women, if you can believe that. A couple like 60, 70-year-old women. Um, yeah, while I was at a daycare. Um, yeah, yeah, my stepdad, like, my name at home was Faggot. Like, that's all he called me, was Faggot. My name was Faggot. I'd come home from school and be like, "Hey, fag, you do your homework? Hey, fag, I'm talking to you," that kind of shit. And so sort of created some trust issues with people in my life. And yeah, between the physical abuse, I mean, I did not do very well. I ended up getting arrested 4 times as a teen, for various different reasons. I've had guns pulled on me. I've almost been shot. I've been stabbed. I got stabbed in the foot during a little gang excursion in 8th grade, where these local gangbangers tried to jump me. Or, well, I guess they technically did jump me. Luckily, one of my friends jumped in, and the first dude we knocked down, he was the one who stabbed me in the foot. Because he was on the fucking ground. But anyway, it was like 8 people versus 2, so it didn't work out very well. Anyway, yeah, I've been through a lot of rugged experiences. I've done drugs. I've been through a lot of things. I've been through 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I almost killed myself after the second one. I was just done, because in my mind, like, I'm a very committed person, and so I told that person, I'm going to love you forever and we're going to get through anything, like I believe that. I don't care what the problems are. I don't care. Like we're going to get through this. Like I will work till I die for you. And not everybody feels that way. Some people just want to leave. And sometimes that's hard to let go of when you think you're in love with somebody, or when you are in love with somebody, because it is a two-way street. But yeah, after my second divorce, I got out of the military. I got medically discharged because I was not doing very well mentally. I ended up doing 7 years in the Guard. I did 4 years of it active duty in the Guard. When my unit got deployed, I got deployed to Oregon. That's an interesting fact because I didn't even know that could happen at the time. But basically, they're like, cool, we're putting you on active duty like everybody else. You're getting deployed, and your mission is to stay back here and make sure that shit doesn't blow up. So I got put on rear detachment and worked for battalion staff. I did human resources for the Army. I was in supply prior to that, full time. Yeah, I actually signed up in the Army to be a truck driver, and I had originally wanted to be counterintelligence. I got a 96 on my GED, right? No. Yeah, I got a 96 on my GED, but a 94 on my ASVAB. So I could have done anything, and I was going to do counterintel, but I found out my son was going to be born. We just found out my wife was pregnant, my first wife. And I knew I had to be back in a few months because he was going to be born. And so I couldn't do counterintel. Counterintel was like a year-long school. So while I was up there at MEPS, I signed up to be a truck driver because my recruiter had told me that it was only a 6-week school for counterintel. Turns out it was 26 weeks. And so I couldn't do it. So changed my MOS and joined as a truck driver, which was not the best idea. And I highly recommend, if you're going to join the military, don't join in anything other than what you want to do, because, they always tell you can change later, and you technically can, but if your unit likes you, they want to keep you. And if they want to keep you, they're not going to let you transfer. And if they don't like you, then they're not going to work with you, and they're not going to let you transfer. So under no circumstance do you get to transfer. Not usually. But, that's just my experience. And, yeah. So I got into streaming. Let's see. After I got out of the Army, I got a job with Wells Fargo. I was doing customer service. Actually, no. Before even that, I worked for the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program out of Salem, Oregon. I was assistant program manager for a nonprofit organization that assisted homeless vets with finding rent and getting them connected to resources and clothing and housing and food and things like that, as well as like providing job skills, job training, covering expenses for things like that, like buying people suits and, paying for bus fare and paying for forklift training, things like that, to actually help people get back on their feet after serving in the military. So that was a really great job, but I ended up having to move out of town, and I wasn't making enough there to work from my new location. So I ended up quitting that and going back to college. That lasted a whole whopping 2 terms. I ended up getting 90 credits total. I've got 90 credits towards my bachelor's in business administration. But I've always had a strong love of computers. I always have. And for the longest time, I sort of forced that away as I tried to be, the prototypical adult. Because by the time I was 23, I owned a house. I bought a house. I'd been working nonstop since I was 18. I did all sorts of jobs. And that was really like the toughest challenge. I guess that's the one people always are like, wow, about. Like, after my first divorce, I was homeless. I was living in my car. I didn't have anywhere to go. I was sleeping in front of my wife and her boyfriend's house. sometimes because they wouldn't let me stay there, and I didn't know it was her boyfriend. But yeah, they wouldn't let me stay there, and I was stupid enough to believe that they weren't doing anything because they told me they weren't. And yeah, I'd bounce between that and Portland, where I would sleep either in my car, or I'd rent a hotel if I could afford it for a night or two. I'd usually get a hotel like once or twice a week so I could shower. But I was working, and the thing was, I was just trying to save up money so I could get an apartment again. So yeah, I went from being completely on the streets with no job to 2 years later owning a house. Uh, and I got, yeah, I worked. I've always been a worker. I've always worked my ass off for things that I wanted, but I always wanted big things. And after my second divorce, I just stopped caring entirely. Like it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you can have all the money in the world. You can have the house, you can have the cars, you can have the kids, you can have all this other stuff, but it doesn't matter if you're not happy. And I was never happy. I grew up with this fucked up childhood where, I couldn't even come home. I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons. Cartoons were for fags, and I wasn't allowed to observe those because, what was I, a little girl? Um, yeah, I got all that driven against me. There were some days when I was, 13, 14, where I'd just sleep out in the yard or not come home and sleep under a bridge or something so I could, get away from this house, go stay at friends' houses, eat there, wait till my parents went to sleep and then come home. I had to avoid them. Everybody was always drunk, and it just wasn't a good situation. So anyway, like, I always hate dwelling on this stuff because I don't want to. This is what I really fucking hate. This is what I really, really hate. I feel like I know how this information affects people. I know that when you tell somebody, "Hey, you were abused as a kid," they inherently want to help you, and they want to like console you, and they want to make you feel better. I've seen it, because I've been through this shit my whole life. And the thing I realized is when you tell people stuff like this, they want to help you. So when I tell people things like this, I feel like this is just merely me asking for help. I feel like to tell people things like this and not expect some kind of reciprocation, or sympathy or something like that. Like, it's the only reason to tell people shit like this is for sympathy, or for garnering favor from viewers or whatever. And I just don't like talking about that because I don't want people to judge me based on that. I don't want people to like me or watch my stream because I got abused as a kid. I want people to like me for me and who I am. And granted, I could say, like, well, this is part of who I am, and in order for people to enjoy my content or whatever, maybe they should know who I am. But at the same time, like, I don't want it to just be about that. I don't want people thinking I'm going out there. But then I see all these other streamers doing it and all these other people doing it, and people going, "Oh my God, this guy's went through so much shit." And I'm like, hey, I did too, but you don't see me fucking bragging about it. I'm not using it because I know how people respond. Like, wow, this guy went through so much shit, let's go donate money to him. I don't want that. I don't want people to feel like obligated or guilted into giving me things because I went through some shit. Shit happens to people, and I'm no more special than anybody else. Yeah, I hate talking about it for that reason. And that's, I guess, something else about who I am. So I guess that fits in an introduction. But I had enough people ask me that I was like, you know what, fuck it, it's my channel. I'll put a video out and it will be here. And if people want to watch it, they can. Because I do think it's important to know who your information's coming from. So I had to go through like a mental shift on this and come to the conclusion that it maybe is a good idea to actually tell people a little bit about me. So yeah, after working for the homeless veterans program, I went on to work for Wells Fargo. I did customer service. I used to hate talking on the phone. I've always been a horrible introvert. Um, yeah, I just don't like talking to people. I don't answer my phone. My phone already rang during this video. I don't answer it. Just gives me anxiety. Like, I don't know who the fuck's calling me, man. So yeah, I worked for Wells Fargo. It was a terrible job. It was a horrible company. Don't ever work for Wells Fargo. At least prior, because they got a class action lawsuit filed against them for the exact things that I hated working for them for. So I hope they clean that stuff up. But yeah, I moved on from there. I got a job working for Amazon, work from home from Amazon, and this was in like 2014, 2013. I had a girlfriend at the time. We'd gotten together. She really wanted to be with me. I really didn't want to be with anybody, but she pushed me and pushed me and pushed me for months about how she like loved me and all this other stuff. So I finally was like, you know what? Okay. Like, I didn't feel ready for a relationship, but I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, maybe, this person clearly cares about me. Let's do this. So she moved in with me. She never worked ever in the 3 years. She got a job for a day at one point and then quit within 2 hours because it was too hard. And I honestly didn't care. Like, before I bash her in that sense, like, I didn't care. I told her from the beginning, I'm like, I literally just want you to be happy. That's all I want. Like, I've been through too much shit in this world to worry about stupid things, and I just want you to be happy. So whatever that takes. If you don't want to work, you don't have to work. I'll work. I'll pay the bills. I'll take care of everything. You just do your art, sit around, play video games, like whatever you want to do. I want you to have a good life, because she had been through some shit too. And yeah, towards the end of that relationship, like a year in, 2 years in, we began having problems, some trust issues. She had found out that I had cheated on my previous wife. And by cheated on my previous wife, I mean I kissed a girl after we were already going through a divorce, but she took that very personally. Yeah. And then I had a friend, Bobby, who I'd been friends with for like 19, 20 years. And he was in the military too. He ended up homeless, and I let him move in with me. And about this point, I was working for Apple. I'd gotten fired from Amazon because I had missed, I don't think I'd missed a couple days. I just showed up late a couple times, and, that point system, you show up late so many times, you get fired. Which, you'd be surprised, like working from home, how the hell do you show up late? Well, it's actually easier, I feel like, because you're constantly living in your work environment, So it's like, all right, I work at 7 p.m. and it's like 6:58 p.m. and you gotta remember to shut the TV off and go pop on your computer. But that typically wasn't the issue. Typically the issue was, because my girlfriend didn't work, she was up all night. And so I'd hang out all night with her, and then I'd get up at 6 or 7 in the morning and start my shift. And sometimes overslept a few minutes, here and there. Just like literally 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late here and there. Anyway, that's enough to get you fired at Amazon. But it was a fantastic company. I really loved working for Amazon. I've never felt so empowered as a customer service agent. And after that, I ended up working for Apple. I got hired from Apple right after leaving Amazon. I ended up getting fired from Apple too. Same thing, tardiness. And it was around that time I realized that, for the last 20 years of my life, I've had sleep issues. And I've always known I've had sleep issues, like sleeping, being up for 40 hours, sleeping for 4, being up for 10, sleeping for 6, being up for 24 more, sleeping for 12. Like, I cannot sleep normally, it seems like. I never been able to in my life. I have terrible fucking nightmares every night. Zombies and being eaten alive and wars and all sorts of shit. Like almost every night, like five days a week at least, I have some kind of nightmare that just fucking messes with me for hours after I wake up. But yeah, I just realized that because of my sleep issues, I need to find, there has to be a way in this world where I can exist and still succeed despite my issues. And that's what got me turned on to programming. I was like, hey, I've always loved computers, and I found out about these programming boot camps that were springing up all over the country. I found a good one, and I signed up for it, and I went and did that. But right before that, my girlfriend and my best friend of 20 years ended up taking off together. He had been living in there. She'd been sleeping on the couch in the living room, and he'd been sleeping on the floor in the living room, I imagine. Cause we were kind of on the rocks, and, yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking all the fucked up shit that she did. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna, this video isn't to bash my exes, just to cover the highlights here. So anyway, she ended up moving out, and then 2 days later, I woke up in the morning and I was like, something's not right. I could see the hall light on out of my room, and I'm like, something's not right. And I go out there and the whole fucking house is cleared out, and Bobby's gone. And I'm like, so I start calling him. I'm like, Bobby, what's up, man? My girlfriend left 2 days ago, and now you just moved out in the middle of the night. Like, that's a little strange. And he's like, wow, you're such a piece of shit. You're accusing me of being with your girlfriend, like totally twisted it around on me. And, I've had this done to me before. So I was like, no. Like, you can try to make me feel like shit all you want, but I've been through this before, and I know exactly what you're doing. Like, you're fucking my girlfriend, and you guys took off together. And sure enough, yeah, like 2 months later, they got married. I found out. Yeah. So, I figured a friend of 20 years I could trust to be in my house and have my back, but you can't trust anybody in this world. And that put me in a weird place, because I was like, at that point, after 2 failed marriages and then my best friend doing that, I'm like, literally the closest people to me in my life have betrayed me. My mom, my dad, my stepdad, my girlfriends, my wives, like literally nobody, no matter how much you trust them in my life, has ever kept that. They've never left with that trust. They've always broken it and then left. And I was like, God, am I just dumb? Am I just too trusting? Am I just fucking stupid? Like, should I just get down on this and be like, you know what? Fucking people cheat, people leave. Like, I should just go out and like get a girlfriend. If I find a different girl, like I'll just fuck that other girl, like maybe I'll be that person. Because it seems like everybody is. It seems like literally everybody in my experience ever has been. I've had, I think, 13 girlfriends in my life. And I shit you not, all 13 of them had sex with somebody else while with me. And I'm talking all the way back to 8th grade when I was dating Corey Muzana, and she was a virgin, and we had been dating 2 weeks, and she hooked up with some dude at a trailer park up the street. Like, literally from my first experience with dating people, I've been cheated on, and I've been cheated on every time since. And I was like, maybe I'm just fucking dumb, Maybe I should just change my perspective. Maybe I'm just thinking about this wrong. But I realized shortly after that, it only took me like a couple days to come to this conclusion this time. I was like, you know what? I don't fucking care how many horrible people are in this world. I will never, ever, ever, ever succumb to being that person. I don't care. I don't care if I never make it anywhere in this world because of it. I don't care if I fucking die starving and broke. I don't care if I just don't care. I really don't care. I will never be that person. I will never be dishonest. I will never be manipulative. I will never do that to people because it's been done to me so many times. And part of me was like, well, maybe that's just how people are, and maybe I need to adjust my thinking. But I don't care if that's how people are. I really don't. Everybody listening to this video could be one of those people, and I don't care. I'm just going to be me. I will always be me. I will always stay true to who I am, and I will always try to be a good person. Like, I can't always succeed in being that, but I will always try to be a good person, because there's just too many fucked up people in this world. And I can't be one of them. The world doesn't need another one. And even if it doesn't matter to people, even if me trying to be a good person is not sexy enough to ever sell on Twitch or ever get me anywhere, then fine, but I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it to be famous. I'm not doing any of this streaming shit to get big. I want to show people a better way in life. And yeah, that's kind of hard to do with video games, honestly, because it's not exactly a preachy type platform. And so I figure if I can, I don't know, if I can just put myself out there and people maybe connect with it or maybe don't. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't even know why we're recording this at this point. But yeah. Let me catch up here. So yeah, been streaming for 3.5 years. Had a lot of ups and downs in it, because I still deal with depression quite a bit. And there's a lot of times where I get down on myself. Like perfect example, last night, I wanted to do a movie thing. I was like, I'm really tired, and I know people like Jess will get like 15, 20 people in for a movie. Kulu will get 5, 10 people in for a movie. I'm like, I got 4,700 followers. I got 300 people in Discord. Maybe I'll have a movie. And yeah, nobody shows. And I'm like, maybe I'm just completely wasting my time. Like, maybe people just don't care. Maybe nobody gives a fuck, and maybe I'm just wasting my life trying to think that I can make a difference in this world. But I can't let that stop me. I can't, and you really can't either. If you're worried about that kind of shit, then you're worried about the wrong kind of shit. If I'm thinking, hey, I shouldn't do this because people didn't show, then how is anybody ever supposed to show up? If I say, fuck, man, nobody wants to watch movies with me, I'll never watch a movie again, then nobody will ever watch a movie with you. If you don't keep putting yourself out there and you don't keep trying, then you'll never succeed in this world. And life can be fucking hard. It can be really hard. It can be unforgiving. It can be unfair in a lot of ways. But I truly believe, I really don't even believe that pushing through this stuff will even make you succeed. I feel that there are plenty of people out there in this world who put forth plenty of effort and get nowhere. But you can't get somewhere if you don't put forth effort. If you don't try, then you can't succeed. You can try and not succeed, but you can't not try and not succeed, if that makes sense. There's no way to have people show up to a movie, essentially, or metaphorically even, if you don't throw the party. So you got to keep trying in this world. And that's one thing that all my life experiences taught me, is you got to work. I've always worked for what I wanted in this world. And what I want now is to gather a group of people that recognize that there can be a better way in this world. We don't have to make Twitter about negativity, and we don't have to bash other people, and we don't have to fucking stir up drama to create content and entertainment. Why can't we just be genuine? I realize it's not as flashy and it's not as sexy and it doesn't sell as well, but I really hope that in this world, what I'm doing is possible. I really hope that this sort of thing can catch on, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else who does it better than I do. Because I want to see a positive change in this world. So this went on for like 30 minutes. This is much longer than I expected it to go. Uh, I want to do some videos on talking to people about streaming specifically. I left all that stuff out from this video because, you know, it's a different topic. But I thought it was important that people know who I am and where I'm coming from. You know, I've been through a lot of stuff in this life. Got a lot more to go. I'm 33 years old, and yeah, I guess that was like the final pieces. You know, my dad had a couple heart attacks a couple years ago. Well, he's had a heart attack just about every year for the last 4 years. He's going to be going soon, I'm pretty sure. My mom got diagnosed with dementia last year. I moved in with her to help take care of her. And that's been really hard in a lot of ways that I didn't expect, you know, because when you hear about dementia, you know, you expect to come down and she'll be like, who are you? It's not like that. I mean, it's not like that yet. At this point, it's more like I come down and she's crying because she can't remember which drawer's the knife drawer, and it terrifies her. You know, can you imagine the fear of like standing in your own house and everything looking unfamiliar? Like that sinking feeling inside you as you're like, I've lived here for 20 years. I know I've lived here for 20 years. Which one is the knife drawer? Like, I don't even recognize this place. That is fucking hard for somebody. And seeing somebody go through that kind of thing has been, it's been pretty brutal. It's been hard on me. But somebody's got to take care of her, you know, and, my brother and sister have their own lives. I happen to be in a unique place in life where I can stream, and provide a little bit of money for the household and help her. You know, she lost her job last year. She's probably not going to find work again, being honest. She's looking for work, but she can't even remember how to answer her phone. And if you can't answer your phone, you can't really answer calls for interviews. And if you don't know how to get into your email, you can't respond to emails. And, you know, if you can't remember your email address, then your resume ends up with 5 different resumes with 5 different emails on it. So anyway, there's like a lot of little problems there, but she's going to need my help. And I'm really streaming at this point because it's the only way that I can continue to provide her the assistance she needs, while being here full time. Because if I chose to do something else, I'd have to move. I'd have to move to a different city. I'd have to go get a real job. Yeah. And I'm in this shitty spot in life right now where it's like, do I leave her hanging, or do I keep trying to make this work, you know? And I feel often like a failure when it comes to streaming, when it comes to my own life, but I'm also aware that I often feel like a failure for no good reason, you know, just because I get depressed. So yeah, you know, it's something that everybody goes through, you know, and so many people are able to just move. But like, I think of all the solid leaders I've seen in this world, like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's a great example of somebody who's like, nah, man, I don't look at Twitter. Okay. Like my social media people post on my Twitter, and then I fucking move on with my life. Like, I don't sit there and read comments and dwell in the negativity, because if you spend time dwelling in that negativity, how the fuck are you supposed to get shit done? You know, if you're sitting out there listening to everybody talking shit about you, then how are you supposed to get anywhere? And so I try to keep that stuff in mind, but you know, I'm not perfect. I'm really not. I'm fucking damaged goods, if anything. And I just want to make life work, you know. I want to put out content that people enjoy. I want to create a community that people feel connected to. And I hope that by doing some sort of introduction for myself like this, that will create it. But, you know, there's always the fear in the back of my mind. This is going to get like 12 dislikes and no likes, and people are going to unfollow en masse and be like, fuck you, Dana, you piece of shit. I don't know why my brain goes there. But, well, you know, I have good reason. Like, last time I went live on Twitch, I lost 5 followers just going live. You know, when you're like, fuck, I literally did nothing but stream and I lost 5 followers. Like, it went and gained 2. It's like, how do I know what I'm doing's right, or how do I know if anything's right? You know, everything I do that I think is right is wrong, and it backfires. And so anyway, I'm going to just shut my fucking mouth, and we're going to put this video out as it is, and I'm not going to listen to it because I don't want to hear it, because I'll just second guess it and I'll delete it. So I'm just going to upload it like it is. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions for me, or if you want to hear more, if you want to hear a podcast or something, or more in-depth details about my life, I can totally fill you guys in. But long story short, been through a lot of shit. I have 90 credits towards my bachelor's in business administration, so I have a lot of business knowledge when it comes to business. Been streaming for 3.5 years. I know a lot about streaming. I know a lot of people across Twitch, like of various sizes. Yeah, the only thing I don't know anything about is marketing. So maybe this is it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon.